Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick. So for the month of October, I'm going to try to put together a series of videos that will give you empowerment to initiate the changes of winter. Now, nobody wants to hear this, but winter time, in Chicago at least, is a time when most people go into a semi-hibernation. Let me explain that. It starts to get cold. I'm wearing my puffy, and in the mornings, it can be chilly. In the afternoons, if the sun is still out, which it is, thank God, it warms up and most people think, it's still summer. It's usually going to be, from what I remember, right at Halloween when it just stays cold. There might be some sun, but usually the days become short and the days become cold. And nights are even colder. I have a lot of weekend warriors, older athletes, that tap out and say this is too much, especially if the routine is walking outside, which I think it's fair to be a walker. But I want to give you some options to keep you motivated and keep your morale up through the winter. November, December, January, February, March. 5 months can be long. And if you curtail your exercise because there's too many things going on, you're not empowered or motivated to do the usual thing, go to the gym because of COVID, exercise outside, walk outside, then we have to come up with something that doesn't even have to be decided upon. Let me explain that too. So if you don't have a ritual and you just every once in a while get up and say, I'm going to go exercise today, or I'm going to go put my sneakers on and jog, then that's a very admirable intention. But if there's a whole bunch of things that can potentially get in the way, the likelihood is that if you just wait for that intention to come up, it won't come up. And you won't even be motivated to put into play an exercise routine. Make it a ritual. If it's a ritual, then the likelihood of making a decision will be taken out of the equation. This is why I'm here at Redling Middle School. Near my office in Bartlett. At Bartlett High School, they have a track, but it's locked. And the only reason I'm talking to you today about tracks is because if you have a destination that you go to exercise, and you're comfortable with going into, say, Planet Fitness or your box gym, then do so, but stay protected. Those who exercise decrease their comorbid conditions, and that alone will improve your chances in case you get COVID. But forget the COVID thing. Decreasing your comorbid conditions will decrease your chances for all those things that were here before COVID, heart attack, stroke, death from those things accelerated by diabetes. So you still got to work on lifestyle change. And those of you who are on medicines, especially in the wintertime, I say don't change anything. Maintain everything that you're taking. Maintain your activities to the minimal that you can get by with. And then come out in the spring, usually it's going to be St. Paddy's Day, and start kicking some ass as far as let's get a different intensity moving. If you get outside daily and go around the block, I think that's fair. Use 1 hour of walking around the block, neighborhood, forest preserve, great. But if you are turned off, or it's too cold, or if your sidewalks are unpassable, or if there's black ice, then that's not going to be something you can endure. And as the snow starts to fall, it's nice to have places you can go to where it's safer, no cars will slide into you. You don't have Yak's tracks or crampons on, then you might trip. I had one vice principal who got into walking, maintained his walking, and I was very proud of him, but he slipped on black ice, pulverized his side. He was black and blue from face, arm, leg. Not a good experience, and from that point on, he didn't want to engage that. Even though he knew the benefits, it was just a trigger that reminded him, I'm not going to do that again. So I think it's important to have something of a ritual, compress the exercises to the most basic, and give yourself a little bit of a reward. So for example, if you walk 5 days a week or 7 days a week, nice. Just to make it an achievable exercise routine, 3 or 2 days a week at the least. So if you pick your days, you get out to a track that's open. This is Redling middle school, and it is open. You can see that the fence is open here. This is in St. Charles. There's also, I've been to Harper College in Hoffman Estates, north of 90. That track is open. That's a nice track too. I've also been to Bennett Academy in Lisle. That track it's fenced, but it usually is open. If you're not in proximity to those places and you go to a track, please list it down to give the other viewers where we can have places to go to do these repeaters. And let's get into it now. The objective of using a track is, number one, it's a destination. Without thinking, you just have your coffee, pick a time period before work, park on the street, start doing your repeaters, done, go back home, and then you can start your day. Even if it's dark outside, bring a headlamp. The reason I say don't do any breakfast is because when you do jog like this, I'm from the 70s, and I think we used to call it jogging, running, whatever you want to call it. But if you're full of fluid and food, your stomach's not going to feel good. And I'm used to fasting, and I would suggest, if you haven't tried it, you consider fasting. So if you push back your breakfast to, say you get out here at 6, push back your breakfast to 8, that alone will give you a little trigger of starvation, a little bit. The signal of starvation tells your body, shut down insulin, start burning fat. So it gets you fat adapted. Now, that's going to have to be repeated. It's not just a single event of pushing back breakfast, but it's just the beginning. So the idea would be, in the wintertime, you compress the exposure to exercise just to give you the basics and keep you engaged. When you decrease the amount of times per week, it makes it an easy chore or task. You can achieve it, you can maintain it. Before you know it, it's March, St. Paddy's Day, time to break free and start planning for exercises outdoors, cool excursions with Dr. Rick's hiking excursions, the Shamrock Shuffle, which I mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, at this point in time, it's going to be virtual, but you never know. To stay motivated through the 5 months of winter here, and snow, and dark days, and stress, and politics on TV and on the internet, it's nice to have a ritual. I usually suggest, if you get to the track on a regular basis, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or twice a week, Monday and Thursday. Those are my suggestions. And the way I would do this is, you take the amount of time that you train now, or you walk 30 minutes a day, the same amount of time, and you apply it to 30 minutes on a track. And this oval track is 400 meters around once. Now, if you're a distance person, you know you can just crank out the miles, but this video is to address weekend warriors. My patients, especially my warriors who are just starting to get some traction as far as controlling hunger, controlling cravings, controlling nutrition, and getting exercise without injury. So what I usually do is run the straightaways, walk the curves. So we're coming across a straightaway. This is a straightaway, 100 meters, and then the curves are about the same, but we're going to do a straightaway jog. So typically you'll see the start. That's where the numbers are, the carrots. Nice and easy. Proper form. The problem with injury is, if you don't have proper form, then even the straightaways going at jogging speed can bring out repetitive or overuse injuries. So we're done. That's the line that signals the end. It's roughly 100 meters, and we're on the curve. So we're going to walk the curve, and if you walk on the outside, that's the outside lane of the curve, you will technically do or have more feet per 30 minutes. You can shorten the distance. This is the inside lane. Probably isn't significant, but for those of you just beginning, pick the inside lane, follow the direction. Most people will go, if you look on top of the track, counterclockwise fashion, using the position of the track and the football field. I'm about done with walking the curve, I'm hitting another straightaway. As soon as I hit the next straightaway, I'm preparing for another jog or a sprint if you're more advanced. But when you do faster runs, sprints, or jogs, the idea is work and concentrate on your form. Since we're not going 100% all out, you want to always run on your toes. I do not agree with heel strikes. I think that you should always be thinking aerodynamic run. And that means swinging the arms properly, having the heels up and down. This would be perfect timing to work on your form. And if you're not sure about working on form or running, and it does make a difference, then you should get somebody to teach you that. If you have bad knees, you definitely need a physical therapist to go through your gait analysis before you start investing in jogging. Because doing this for half an hour, if you're translating a half hour of walking around the neighborhood to a half hour of straightaways, that's a couple straightaways. And if you have knee pain, hip pain, or ankle instability, that half hour can turn on something bad. So if your insurance pays for it, ask your doc, or if you're one of my warriors, tell me, I'll get you to a physical therapist before season starts. Work on your gait, see if there's any imbalances, address them, move forward. So we're hitting another straightaway. Again, work on form, go a little faster. You can always keep on going faster. Always keep an eye on, or a record of how many laps you do, because as you progress through the winter and get better with your form and your endurance, then you should be able to crank out a lot more laps. That's the way I would do it. Now, if you're more advanced than that, subscribe, and I'll be doing more videos through the month of October. But even with resistance, I always talk about resistance to help with metabolism. Just an aside, I usually start out hikes cool. This morning I wasn't sure what to prepare for, so I brought my puffy, plus my pants have no pockets, so I had to use the pockets of my vest, but it's too hot now. For my hikers and folks that are going with me to the 2022 excursion, which I haven't announced the destination yet, you guys know that I love hiking in the winter. You can choose to train with us. Check out on Facebook, Dr. Rick Hiking Excursions. But you don't have to be obligated to go with us to our destination summit. Check me out either on my YouTube channel, Facebook, Dr. Rick Hiking Excursions, or Herbal 411 as I announce the monthly projects. Hopefully this gives you a couple of ideas to take your walking routine and change it up a bit so it lasts through the winter. Don't forget to find your way as far as resistance to. Once a week would be fine. If you're more of a resistance person, continue on. That will also change as far as motivation, just because darker, colder, and shorter days break morale. And sometimes with the holidays coming up, it can be very easy to say, screw this day, I'm going to do something else. So just stay engaged. The final thing I'll mention to you is when we change up the exercise, decrease it, button it up for the winter, you might have to change around your nutrition. But I'll be talking about that throughout the next couple weeks. Thanks for watching up to this point in time. Put your questions down below. Don't forget, for you runners that are watching, or you walkers, if you have an open track around you that's not fenced, please put them in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next video.